Hello, Karima.
Hi,
Welcome back.
Zoe. Yeah, we did this actually once before. Yeah, for
We
real.
did this once before. I feel like this is going to be a completely different level
Yeah.
um, of what we've done before. You have a knack for pulling out the most authentic and raw versions of everything. So I think that the first before was on the surface, and I'm looking forward to this being gut wrenching deep because I feel like you got some stuff that some people need to
All
hear.
right. Hold on to your shorts, boys.
So we are here for you, those of you that are watching. We are here to discuss the "Make Me Good with Money" book. Beep. Okay, but not just the book itself. We are here to discuss the story behind the "Make Me Good with Money" book because a good author always has a story. You can't usually navigate people through anything that you can't relate to. Otherwise, you're not walking in your integrity, as I've heard someone tell me before. So, Karima, you wanted this book to go to a specific audience, not just a specific audience, but three very specific audiences. And we're not going to get into all three of those today, but I did want to understand your heart and your idea behind one particular audience, partly because I've had some experience in it, but not enough. And that is those that have been or are currently in a domestic violence situation or environment, or are have come from and are trying to find a financial ground, from being there, because one of, the part that I can relate to is being financially abused in a sense, but maybe not physically,
Right.
to the point where it was 100%. Like, I can't relate to it as much as other people probably could. So I won't even try to put myself there, but I can kind of relate to the financial abuse and physical abuse and different things
Right.
like that. But what and why did you feel like this audience needed this book? Like, why do those, or even back up, like, who are you when you say domestic violence? Who are you actually talking to? What aspect of domestic violence are you speaking to?
So to answer the last part first, all of it. Um, so we have a way of ranking, which you kind of talked about, physical abuse over everything else, because it's what we can see. And
Mm,
you made an interesting point before we went live about surface. The scars, the black eyes, the broken arms, the,
yeah.
the broken furniture, the broken plates, all those things are surface. We can
Yeah.
see them. But we all know, I mean, everybody knows the phrase words cut deep. And so we all know that the sticks and stones thing is a lie that we tell little children to try and get them to ignore the child who's taunting them at school.
Yeah.
Because most of us, the wounds that we carry are because of words. I mean, I actually posted
Absolutely.
on Facebook just today. Most of us make decisions from our wounds and not from
Yes.
our reasoning as we
Yes.
would like to think.
Yes.
And those wounds come from words. Those wounds come from repetitively hearing you're not good enough, you ain't
Mm,
shit, you ain't
mm,
never gonna be shit, you're
mm.
just like your mama, you're
Yeah.
just like your daddy, no good, you're
Yeah.
dumb, you know, all the things. In the Caribbean, it's actually worthless, but in the Caribbean, how it comes out is worthless. So
Mm,
you're worthless. I mean, you name it. And those are the wounds that many of us carry. Have many of us also been physically abused, whether we like to admit it or not? You know, the I turned out fine. I say all the time. If I can't walk up to an adult or even get upset with an adult and hit them without
Mm.
being charged for assault, then how
Mhm.
can I hit a child? Clearly, there's something wrong with hitting if I
Yeah.
can't hit an adult. So, is
Yeah.
it that we don't respect children? Is it that we think children are nothing? Because how can I not hit an adult who can stand and fight back with me, who is my size, but I can beat up on somebody who is still developing, somebody who is tinier and who can't fight back? Something
Yeah.
is horribly wrong with our world.
Yeah.
If we would arrest a man for hitting his wife,
Yeah.
we would arrest a man or a woman for hitting another adult. But
Yeah.
it's totally okay. It's not my business. It's just discipline. It's love. Oh my God, it's love. Beating up on a child. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of insanity, and I've spoken about that in the book as well. There's a lot of insanity that we live in and that we accept because it happened to us. And if we
Yes.
don't accept that it's okay, then it means that we'd have to do the work to unpack how unokay it was. And most of
Yeah.
us don't want to do that work. So we pretend that it's okay and we perpetuate the cycle of it because we don't want to do the work. And we don't want to take responsibility if we're doing it to our children or have already done it to our children and made them not okay. Nobody wants responsibility. So I'm saying all of that to say that all of it is equal as far as I'm concerned. The financial abuse is violence as well. It is violence to hold somebody to ransom. It's terrorism, it's a hostage situation. Again, that's a crime. It's a crime.
Yeah.
Hostage, people holding other people hostage is something that they get arrested for. And in a financial abuse situation, you're holding a whole other adult hostage. It's all the same. It's all
Yeah.
problematic. It's all deeply
Yeah.
wounding, sorry. And it all has ripple effects for years to come, sometimes lifetimes. As a matter of fact, sometimes generations, which is how I'll answer the rest of your question. My mother walked out of a relationship of abuse. He never hit her, but he told her horrible things. He was mean. I didn't know a lot of this was going on. They were very good at maintaining some sort of normalcy when I was around. My brother came when I was 7, and a year before she walked out of the marriage, so he wouldn't have kind of experienced much of it. But
Yeah.
yeah, and when my mother walked out, my mother walked into that relationship owning a home and walked out of that relationship with the stuff that we had and had to go to rent. And I argue never really got back on the financial wagon properly. I went from having an upper middle class lifestyle, and that was afforded by my mother prior, because this is my stepfather I'm talking about, not my father. So my mother got married when I was about 5. So my mother gave me an upper middle class upbringing, and that continued when my stepdad came along. And I went from that to us struggling. I mean, we moved in with another family, and myself, my mother, and my brother were sharing a bedroom and a single bed. Okay. Until my mother found another job and started getting on her feet. I got pulled out of private school. I got pulled out of all my extracurricular. Now, people might say, yes, the sacrifice was necessary, but understand the trauma. And we moved from one island to another because she had to get away from him. He actually sent a private investigator to find my brother and showed up outside my brother's nursery school. I mean, all kind of, right? And so imagine the trauma of getting yanked away from all my family, all my friends that I've ever known at the age of 7, and being taken to a whole new island, being yanked out of a private school system and being put in public school, completely different place, completely different type of human being, completely different kind of teacher,
Yeah.
right? And then not only that, but you don't have your social support systems. Again, you're now isolated because your family isn't there anymore. You're living, yes, now in a bedroom with your mother and your brother, in a home with a family who the auntie loved my mother. It's one of her best friends to date. But it was rough for them as well. I mean,
Yeah.
bless them, but it was rough for them as well. So there were times there was antagonism. There were times when there were snide comments. The children were destroying my stuff I was accustomed to having, and I'm very neat. I take care of things for years. So the trauma of your stuff being broken left outside in the rain. So many layers of trauma. And my mother, most people would tell you, well, suck it up. You're just complaining,
Yeah.
right? But those things have fallout for years to come. I went from having a full social support system and network to isolation, complete isolation. And my mother couldn't be there for me because she was in her own trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
how those things cascade, and nobody understands that. And again, they just tell you, well, suck it up. You were too young to understand. No, I hell was not.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I went from being
It's,
loved
it's
to being nobody. I went from getting hugs all the time to nothing. Like, people have no idea, right? The ambulance, sorry. So those things have deep psychological. I have abandonment issues. Besides my father, who also didn't help years before. But then I was also abandoned by my mother. Because, and again, we don't talk about those things. There's the physical, again, the surface stuff we can see, and there's the emotional stuff. And so I also argue that children coming in out of situations like that are also emotionally abandoned. Because especially if it was a father-mother situation, so you've lost your father because he's now probably a felon, or you're on the run from him, and your mother cannot emotionally take care of you because she is in shambles. So there's that abandonment that nobody did. I mean, we could go all evening with all
yeah.
the issues that
Yeah.
children coming out of situations like that walk out with.
Yeah.
And so, as I said, I saw my mother struggle not only with the emotional stuff, but then, of course, she can't deal with that because you have to get up every morning and get to work when you finally got a job. And
Yeah.
now support these two children because you're now a single mother of two. Yeah. And pick up the pieces and just stitch things together.
Yeah. As best
And
you can.
listen, right? And those are the lessons that got imprinted on me in terms of my finances. I lived that loop for years. I would have money and then it would evaporate. I said it in the book. And then I would have money again. And you have no idea how much money I've made in my life. Because I've very seldom been in a salaried position. I do project work. I'm self-employed a lot because, again, my nervous system is not normal. I can't function in an office. I have tried. Very few times, but I've tried. And like within days, I want to pelt a stapler behind somebody or pick up a chair and hit somebody across the face. I can't do it. And again, we don't talk about how trauma affects you going forward in
Yeah.
life. My
Yeah.
nervous system is not normal. I don't have the emotional threshold most people have, and I'm aware of it. I tell people these things up front. I don't do friendships for long term. My long term friends know that I will fall off the earth at any point and for any length of time, and they love me anyway. I am not normal. And yes, I would have been abnormal anyway, just because of the giftings that I have and my intelligence and whatever. But
Yeah.
I'm also abnormal hugely because of the trauma that my nervous system has been through. And nobody accounts for those things, right? Again, the children get forgotten in all these things. Oh, well, they're safe now. They have a roof over their head and meals. Big whoopee ding, right?
Yeah. What
And
about
then,
before? Yeah.
right. And again, they are usually emotionally abandoned and isolated unless the mother managed to move in with a family, as in her family members, so they may have grandparents or whatever. Because if you just move to somewhere else, a halfway house or an apartment, subsidized living or whatever, you
Yeah.
are isolated. And you're going to be isolated for the rest of your life because friends don't replace that familiar love. Hugs from friends are not the same. I
Yeah.
mean, they're great, but they're not the same. It
Yeah.
and that gap never gets closed. And so a lot of the financial fallout also happens because you're dealing with people who were not raised on love, or love was yanked away from them, who saw their mother struggle and that became their money imprint, who themselves are screwed up all kinds of ways. So they can't choose themselves in any situation. And if you can't choose yourself in any situation, you sure as hell ain't choosing yourself when it comes to money. It ain't happening. Even with the tools in the book, it ain't happening because you
Yeah.
can know all that information. And I've been there too. Wait, there's another book coming, right? You have all the information and you'll do it right for a little while. And then you fall off the wagon again because you're not choosing yourself. And until you learn to start choosing yourself every single day in every single situation and interaction, you're not going to get your money right on a consistent basis forever. It's just not going to happen. And so again, it doesn't matter whether it was physical, financial, emotional, or domestic violence, it's all violent. It's all deeply wounding.
Yeah.
And unless you get help or you sit and work through it, it's all going to be lifelong and it's going to get passed on. Because if I didn't do my work, how was I raising my child?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why they talk about repeating your parents' mistakes. It's what you know.
Yeah.
It's what you know. And your nervous system has developed to function in that kind of dysfunction. So you seek it out because that's what your nervous system sees as normal.
Yeah.
Anything else sends off alarm bells. Something is wrong. This is not the norm. This is not how our nervous system functions. We can't function like this. It's like the evolution chain, the evolutionary
Yeah.
chain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something that evolved to walk on land can't go back to living in water, even if it
Yeah.
started off there. So if I evolve to find some kind of normalcy in the middle of trauma, I can't go back to living normal. My nervous system don't know how to function in normal. It has evolved to live in trauma.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about these things. And so financial trauma is the same thing. I don't know how to live in normal financial money all the time, using my money properly and responsibly, having 5 figures in the bank all the time. That's not my normal. My nervous system rejects that. Even with all that I know in my head. And again, there's another book coming because I believe in accountability and telling the truth. Yeah, and transparency. Yeah.
Wow.
So I get it done and I can tell people about it. And then my nervous system goes, wait, hold up. This is not normal. We can't function like this. And I have to
Wow.
do the work now to deprogram and reprogram my nervous system.
Wow. Wow.
Because I will find a way to disappear those 5 figures and don't even know how.
And don't even know how.
And I'm not
Yeah.
irresponsible.
But it just,
I cannot breathe in water anymore. I breathe in air now. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so with the root, my goodness. Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's just, it's so profound because it, like I said, moving from surface to deeper layers, like deeper waters, because you have to understand that this is, you know, and I'm probably going to tick some religious people off, but you and I have a knack for doing that anyway. Um, I looked at this book and I was like, this is like a money Bible. I compared it to a money Bible because I believe that the Bible is alive. I believe that the words are spiritually inspired, and so it transforms you. And this book does the same. And I was telling my mom the same. I was like, I felt a certain resistance, but I think that resistance often comes, like you were just saying, with your nervous system, like almost rejecting, like, no, like, we know that this is good. We know that the words are life. We know that this will transform your life. If you, it reminds me too, it's just like the Bible, like the Bible will transform your life if you allow it to. This book will transform you if you allow it to, because it's just that alive.
But
And
again, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
no, please go.
No, I was only going to say, sorry, it's not even allowing. It's not, you see, you're missing it. It's not even the allowing. Again, you will do the work, you'll do the exercises, you'll do the affirmations. And then your nervous system says, I feel uncomfortable. And what we're not going to do is be uncomfortable. And everything that your mind, your conscious mind has done comes crashing down because your nervous system is what runs your show. We don't understand that. It's your body and your nervous system that run the show, not your mind. Not your mind, your habits, the way you walk, where you walk to, how you pick up something, what you pick up, the TV remote, the everything. It's all your body. All your habits live in your body, not in your head. We assume that. We want to believe that, but it's not where things reside. So your mind will move you to a particular place because it intakes the information and you want to be good with the information and all well and good. And you
Mhm.
fight with yourself and you get it done. But the minute you relax, your nervous system kicks in again and says, no, you thought, you, you thought.
Wow, that makes
And
sense.
that's why we live in cycles. Most of us relationship cycles, the same man over and over, no matter if you, all right, I've tried tall men and let me do short because the tall ones clearly don't like me. And you find the short ones, that's the same man as the tall
Right.
ones. You find the
Yeah,
yellow bone ones, we call them red, this the same as the dark skin ones. You
yeah,
you find the church boy, that's the same as the gangster. It's the same man. Sis, you've been dating the same man for years. Like, let's tell the truth here.
yes.
Let us tell the
Right.
truth.
Yeah. So
Because your
how?
hormones are the common denominator. Your nervous system is the common denominator, not your
So how
brain. Hmm?
when you use tools like the Make Me Good with Money book, and in the terms of dealing with someone that has been abused, especially in a financial situation, or just not even financial, because like you said, all of it is there's no rank in it. So what do you see as far as knowing, understanding the power that resides in this book, but also understanding the power behind trauma? How would, if I was in a situation, in a shelter, in any type of situation that would be, considered like domestic, how would I couple this book with what I needed to rise? Like, how, what would be the steps to, would you
So
say?
I'll say this. There's a reason that the most fantastic turnaround stories come from the homeless, and we're sick of hearing it now. I mean, I have the same story. It's overused, or it seems that way, but there's a reason. The power of desperation will override anything else. Eric Thomas yells
Hmm.
about it all the time. Do you want to breathe? When you want it as badly as you want to breathe. He's very deep. He's very wise. My trauma, the way my trauma is set up, I can't deal with the yelling. A black man yelling at me is a problem. I real sorry. I mean, I'm so happy he helps so many people. I ain't one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when you want it as badly as you want to breathe, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But sorry, it was bound to happen sometime. So pull it together
Okay.
now. Pull it together. Let's behave now. So I used to do this in school. I would get everybody else in trouble and sit with a straight face. Like, what is wrong with these humans? Why are you behaving like that? What's wrong with you? Stop it. And the teacher is most annoyed. It wasn't me. See, I'm just sitting there minding my business. Um, you always know the instigators. But yeah, there's a power in desperation that overrides every other instinct that you have. And so I understand that. I understand holding it together because my child has to be fed every day.
Yeah.
I understand holding it together because if I don't hold it together, I'm probably going to catch a case because I will put a pillow over her head when she's sleeping. I'm sorry. Most with people, not to say these things.
Yeah.
Listen, probably on every mother, there are very few, the Stepford wife types who haven't thought this, okay? Let's be real if we're being real. Or I might break an arm, or because again, the way my nervous system is set up, if you push my buttons far enough and for long enough, and the child lives with you. It's not a man that you can delete or block and delete or walk away from. This is in your house. It's not a pet that you can give away. I keep saying we can't give them away. Don't ask me why I know that. Um, you also can't give them back. They're also not weekend shelters. Like I can check my pet into a weekend shelter and take a trip. Ain't no place like that for a child. Like the discrimination is real, right? Pet owners have more rights than I do to getting some private time. Yo. But anyway, so it's there 24/7. Well, besides school, and mine was homeschooled, go figure. So, okay, okay. And that's why children end up getting beat up. And again, then we claim it's love. No, you just have no self control.
Yeah.
No, you're just enacting your trauma on another human being who can't fight back and can't say anything and can't move out. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a policy of not hitting my child. And if I did, it wasn't when I was annoyed.
Yeah.
I'm extremely strong. I don't hit people as a rule.
Yes.
I would break a child.
Yes.
Yeah. I've been an athlete all my life. I don't look it, but I'm very strong. So tell the truth. You're just abusive because you don't have emotional checkpoints and self control. And you take it out on your child or children. Tell the truth. Right? So, but again, you wake up every morning and you decide not to kill it today. You wake up every morning and you decide you have to go to work or work on this project or whatever you do to bring in the money because it has to be fed. You wake up every morning and do that because you have to keep a roof over your head. And the desperation is what drives you. And if you're desperate enough to not ever be in that situation again, you will do whatever you have to not be in that situation again, which is where you get the Coach Stormies and the Eric Thomases and all these people, the Oprahs.
Yeah.
You will do whatever you have to not be in that situation again. And so for me, it makes sense to put my book in the hands of people who want to never be in that situation again. The comfortable middle class is nice. You
Yeah.
know, they need information. So giving them information they don't have is great. But most of them are a little too comfortable to enact the good information they've been done had for the last how many years. My book ain't changing that. Let's be
Yeah.
real. Again, you wanted real, you're getting real this evening, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not for them because they're comfortable.
Yeah.
They're comfortable in their debt, in their consumerism, in their looking pretty, whether for the gram or for whoever they're looking pretty for. They're comfortable watching their cable, and doing whatever the other people in the middle class do, and being very much robots and clones. They're comfortable doing that. It's the people who are back against the wall, the people who came from trauma and their mother was also back against the wall, who decide, you know what, it stops with me. Who decide, you know what, my child is not to live like that. Who decide, you know what, I want to see how the other side lives and I'm going for all. And again, that's where the success stories usually come from. So you override your nervous system. I will always use the example of Jay-Z. I
Yeah.
mean, polished, cultured.
Yeah.
The man found the right people to have conversations with. And he learned. He obviously studies people. You can tell. Look
Yeah.
where he came from and where he is now. You don't have to like him. You could
Yeah.
talk all day about him hustling drugs. It's so great that you never had to do something like that. I'm, happy for you.
Exactly.
But, right? Again, you ain't never been back against the wall, clearly. So, and look where he is, the art collecting and just the way he dresses. You can't dress with Jay-Z when that man puts on a suit. Listen, Sean Carter, hello. I find the man cute, but listen. Listen.
I
Okay,
mean, yeah.
okay. I understand Beyonce Giselle knows, like he ain't cute, but yo, and he's highly intelligent.
Yes. Yes.
Highly intelligent, right? And
Yeah.
so think of the chasm he would have had to jump from Marcy Projects to that. And that's the power of being back against the wall. That's the power of desperation. Again, When you want it as bad enough as you want to breathe. Okay? If you don't want it badly enough because you've never been back against a
That.
wall, then you're not, it doesn't, and again, so there are levels. And as a teacher and a coach, you understand that. They're the people you're just going to inform because they never had the information. They're the people you're going to shift and they'll start looking at the world differently. And then they're the people whose lives are going to change. And you just have to understand that. And so the people whose lives I'm going to change may not have the extra money to buy a book, which is why we've talked about giving away the book to incarcerated people, to students of HBCUs on financial aid, and to women in domestic violence, well, who have come out of domestic abuse situations and starting over from scratch, right? Because I know what that looks like as well. I know what it looks like to ration money for food. I know what it looks like to go to a fast food restaurant and collect napkins to use as toilet paper. Like, people have no idea. Because I didn't want to call my mother, because I didn't want to hear what I would hear if I had to call my mother for help or my father. I couldn't deal with it. Like, people have no idea. And you get up every day. And I learned that from my mother. You get up every day and you dress well. And she likes French. She's always had expensive things. So she put on her nice jewelry, right? Like, I know what real pearls look like. I know what jade looks like, right? My mother owned those things and real French perfume, right? Like, and my mother got up every day and dressed well. And she's a classic dresser. She don't do trends. And smelled good. And a little eyeliner and a little lipstick. Because back then you ain't beaten face something. And faced the world. And nobody knew. Nobody knew except the few that did. I learned that from my mother. And you know, on some days you think it was a disservice because you don't ask for help, because you don't look for better solutions, because you've learned survival and you learned it so damn well.
Yes.
You learned survival so damn well. How do we move from survival to thriving? Again, rewiring of the nervous system, which is why you disappear money, because this ain't survival. Why we have so much money on a bank account? What the what?
Yeah.
You've mastered functioning, high functioning, achieving on survival. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows that you, like, my child and I were having a conversation a few months ago. And somewhere in the conversation, I can't remember, it was a book she read or something we saw on the internet, because we don't watch TV. And it was a mother telling her children, no, she wasn't hungry. So somebody was either recounting the story of their mother doing that, or we saw it. And she looks at me and she goes, Mommy, I remember when you did that once. And it tore me up, because you don't think that at 3 years old, because it was real bad, at that there was a window when it was really, really bad. You don't realize that your 3-year-old is noticing that you don't eat. Yeah? And nobody knows, because you get up every day and you go to whatever meetings you need to go to. And in that specific circumstance, I'd just been ripped off by somebody in a business deal. And so we had started something and I was living off of my savings. I had savings and I'm living off of my savings because we're working towards pitching this project and my savings are dwindling. And we pitch the project and the first check comes and she takes all of it. Yeah? And I have nothing. And my child remembered that. And again, nobody knew, because like my mother, I buy quality clothing and I take care of them. I have clothing that my mother bought when she was in her 20s. That's how sick we are in my family. Yeah. My aunt gave me a washing machine in the early 2000s that she had bought in 1970 something. I shit you not. That's how good my family is at taking care of things. And we traffic it and we pitch it
Yeah.
as, it's a great thing. It's freaking survival.
Survival. And survival.
And my aunt is comfortable. She's good. It's not that but she learned those things, and my mother, obviously, from their mother. It's survival.
Yeah.
And I learned it well.
Yeah.
So I put on my clothes and I dress well. And I go to work and I do my thing. And I know that I'm going to be okay.
Hmm.
Sorry.
Okay. We're back.
Island internet. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I leave the house and
Yeah.
nobody would know. Like, because it's not your business. Because
Yeah.
I show up to get the job done. Because that's what I learned from my mother. What? And
The
how do you
art.
go from that to thriving?
Yeah.
How? Again, how do you bridge that chasm unless you take apart, completely dismantle your nervous system and your programming and put
Yeah.
them back together a different way? And we take pride in this. It's especially in the Black community because we don't know better. We don't know
Yes.
what thriving looks like.
Yeah.
So your shoulders are broad and you have good work ethic and you take care of things and we value these things. And yes, there's value to taking good care of things. But could
Right.
we stop spinning survival, bare survival as a good
Mm.
thing? Can we start having conversations about thriving?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
thriving is not going out for bottomless, what is it?
Yeah.
Bottomless mimosas
Most.
and having the guacamole on the side, and that meme that we all laugh about on the internet, right? It's not about that. It's not about buying all the things. It's about when you go home to your apartment, is it as well outfitted as that hotel you just left?
Exactly.
Is your mattress high quality?
Mm.
Or is it just bare minimum?
Yeah.
What do your furnishings look like? Do you have art? I have art. I remember a boyfriend of mine was pissed at me. I was going through a rough patch. And when I finally got some money from a project, one of the things I did, because it was my money, was I bought some art. And that man was livid. And I couldn't understand. First of all, yo, this be my money. Third of all, we don't live together. Third of all, yous don't pay my bills.
So why?
So, okay? So. And yeah, the man was livid. I have that art still. The backing was teak. Termites don't eat teak. Teak, that's why teak is one of the most expensive woods in the world. Teak will
Yes.
last forever. Yeah. And they were well wrapped, and I made sure they stayed well wrapped, and I put them into storage. Because do I have my house yet that I want to hang things on the wall? Not necessarily. And I had them hung at one point, and then I moved, and then so they're in storage, and that's okay. They're appreciating.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How do we move? And this is a man who, again, came from upper middle class. You would think he would know better.
Mm-hmm.
How do we move our community from survival to thriving? So, from being upset with people because they're doing too much.
Exactly.
Why you need art?
What it looks
Why
like.
you need to be buying all of that?
Mm.
What you going to do with that? To understanding that art is a whole asset class.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's beautiful. And I'm sorry, but beauty is a thing. I tell people all the time, I like pretty things.
Yeah.
It's actually part of the reason I'm so damn OCD and perfectionist when I work on projects. Like, could we get this right? Because it looks wrong still. Yeah, I
Yeah.
annoy graphic artists who are sloppy. The good ones and I get along fine. Don't give me
Yeah.
sloppy graphic work. well, we had a back and forth. I like pretty things. I like symmetrical things. I like it has to look, and in the end, everybody's like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I like nice things. And again, it's not nice, cheap China-made brands that everybody
Yeah.
thinks are a thing. Because we could talk about that too, right?
Mm-hmm.
All these consumer brands that people think mean that they're wealthy or they have money, and the wealthy ain't wearing them because the brands the wealthy wearing you ain't never been heard of and ain't never going to at the rate you're going, right?
I remember when we first started working together as coach, with the coaching, one of the things that shifted was the quality of things that even down to the soap. It's like, which I didn't have, like, I stopped buying basic soap like years ago, and my husband was like, she must don't know, like, you already don't use like regular soap, but it's still up a notch of expectation. And even my bedroom, I'd stopped and I looked at my bedroom one day and I was like, let's do something different. Like, I want this to look different. I know where we are right now, but yeah, like, and it looks a lot,
And
better.
then
But
expensive.
the mindset is
Yeah,
definitely a mindset.
yeah.
And that
And
was,
it scars me when I see people do it. They're
yeah,
so well dressed when they leave their homes, and you happen to go to their home, and I'm stunned because this is where you walked out of. For real? This is what you walked out of, dressed like that. The two don't match. They're not congruent. What are we doing? So you're putting on a show for everybody else. You have low self-esteem because you can't be treating yourself like shit. Sorry,
yeah,
right? Living in shit. And then
yeah,
walking out the door with your
yeah.
Instagram worthy outfit. What is we doing?
Mhm,
What
mhm.
is we doing? You are literally leaving your house every day to put on a show for other people because you're treating yourself like shit. And again, those are learned behaviors, and those
Yeah,
things affect your finances
it does. It does.
because you have no
It does.
self-esteem, you have no love for yourself. Your bathroom stank, and you posting pictures of you in the tub on Instagram. Stop, clean it. Why are you living in a stank house? I talked about that in the book. Like, let's pull it
Yeah.
together here.
The very first activity is cleaning.
Yes,
That's the very first
because it is
activity.
a direct reflection of your self-worth. It
And
is
it,
a direct reflection.
I was going to say, one of the things that my husband noticed as we kind of got into the book, he kind of correlated, because before he gets his day started, like, he and I like to meditate and, get my son and all that type of stuff like this. But his preparation, I guess, for him is to clean. Like, he
Mhm.
will get up and the first thing he wants to do is to clean, and he cleans the space. And it, to me, it's like, what else more can you do? But for him, it's like everything has to be in a place. And even if I didn't feel like the carpet needed to be swept, it's like, yeah, it helps really to jumpstart his day in productivity. And we
Let me
kind
tell
of
you something.
correlated that.
Yeah, no, but I'll say this. That is an indigenous behavior.
Mhm.
If you, well, you would either have to go or you would have to watch documentaries. Across the African continent
Mhm.
and India, that's what they do on a morning.
Wow.
You roll up your bedding
Wow.
and then you sweep, even if you have a dirt floor. You
Wow.
sweep around inside, you sweep around outside, you tidy up everything, right? You may not have running water, you may have a little basin, you wash what you have to wash,
Yeah.
and you pray and you start your day. That's where we come from.
Yeah.
That's where we come from. We learn different things from those other people, but
Yeah.
that's where we come from.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And that's why pandemics, that's why a lot of the diseases that kill people in Europe, wipe out people in Europe, stop dead in their tracks when they get to our parts of the world. India's a little different because they packed like sardines, right? But yeah, and India apparently is a very dirty place, even though, as I said, I've seen them do it in their own homes. The space apparently is not always clean,
Yeah.
right? And of course, sorry, this is in parts of India, because
Yeah.
India is a massive place with a lot of different, don't come for me,
Mm.
right? But yeah, you wake up in the morning,
Yeah.
like we have a lot of East Indians in Trinidad and Tobago, and I've seen it myself. You have a coquille broom. Coquille is sticks that you get from coconut
Yeah.
leaves. So coconut leaves have one main thing, and then the little kind of spindly thing sticking out. In the
Yeah.
middle of each spindly thing is is like a piece of wood. It's very thin
Yeah.
and it's flexible. And we take those and we dry them and we band them together and you make a broom, kind of like how cinnamon brooms are.
Yeah.
And so when it's called a coquille broom. And yeah, you'll see them outside in the morning sweeping with a coquille broom, washing down their yards. That's where we come from. And I have both in me, right? Yeah. So the man is doing what is in his DNA somewhere.
Okay.
He's doing what's in his DNA, right? But that's yeah. Mhm.
I gotta tell him that, but we and it once I because we've read different parts of the book, together. Well, not together, but we've read different parts of and different things stick out, and so we were able to just kind of resonate with that because I'm like I can shift once I've had my chakra cleansing and my meditation moment and all that type of stuff, but he goes straight into it. But I want to wrap up. But in that wrapping up, I want, because this was a very specific topic, and um, I want to remove myself and just give you an opportunity to speak to this particular audience as it relates to not just your own experience, but what your heart is towards those women, no matter what level or rank. And there is no rank. We've said that there is no rank, but no matter, I guess the better way would say, no matter situation, what their situation looks like in terms to domestic violence, whether in it, coming out of it, maybe all the way out of it and have a passion, as you do to help others, wherever they are. What is it that you would say or would like to say to that woman or those women in this moment? And I'm going to remove myself from the stream
Right.
so
Okay.
it be you
Oh, okay. You don't have
and
to.
talking. I know how
Um,
you are with the
no,
talking.
it's fine. It's okay. You don't have to. So that's really broad in terms of all those different types. So the thing is, I'll say first, I've been the child of it, and I've also been through it. When I left the home that my daughter's father and I shared for 3 years, I left with the clothes on my back. My books, my appliances, my furniture all stayed. As a matter of fact, he refused to give me them. Um, and I just didn't have the energy for the fight. I had a young baby, and that was my focus. And so, if you're in it, all I can say is choose yourself. You have to know that you are worth choosing, that you yourself are worth more than the fear you may feel, that you yourself are worth more than the threats, that you yourself are worth more than the shame. Because I know I stayed because I was ashamed of, again, and couldn't deal with the noises that my mother and my father would make if I went home with the story of why I was back home. So know that you are worth so much more than the aggravation of even that, the judgment, as I said, and the shame that comes with that. So that's for the woman who are, if you're in it, you are worth more. Choose yourself. Choose yourself. Choose yourself. Choose yourself. You have a purpose, even if you may not know what it is. The ones of you who are out already, same thing. One foot in front of the other. I literally told somebody that just today. One foot in front of the other, one breath and then another, one day and then another. Just keep swimming. I mean, I know what it is to be completely crippled emotionally. Um, and you just want to lie there. You just want to lie there. You don't even want to cry. You just want to lie there. I get it. Choose to get up and put one foot in front of the other and go through your day as you need to. Create a plan for yourself of what your best life looks like and figure out what one thing you can do, even if it's just one thing, every single day that takes you closer to that best life that you write it down. Write it down. Even if it's on a sheet of paper that you tore from somewhere. Write down what your best life looks like, how you want to feel, what the home you live in looks like inside and out, what the types of people around you are. And every day, take one action, just one, that works you towards that best life. If you have children, you need to remember them. You need to remember that they were in this too. I know it's difficult. I know you're sitting in all your stuff, but you've got to do it because if you don't do it, they're going to repeat the cycle. Do you want that for them? It's a simple question and a decision you have to make. Do you want your life for your children? And if you don't, then again, you pick yourself up every day and you make different decisions than the ones that were made that got you to where you are now. You can do it, I promise you. It may not seem that way. Don't look at the big thing. One thing every single day, one foot in front of the other. That's it. Zoe, are you there?
My mic was muted. I'm sorry. Here. I am here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, guys, we will wrap this up, but most definitely, I know if you were not blessed, you need to just rewind it and listen again. But even if you weren't blessed, share it with someone else because this is a very serious and very real life topic. And, yes, we're talking about money, which people are, it's a weird topic for a lot. But in this situation, let's just be real. Like a lot of people, even Cardi B, when she shared her story, I just found out a lot of things that she did was because being abused and financially abused and having to, so we know that this exists and, it's real. So let's share and let's make sure that we are doing our part as Karima is doing her part to make a difference with the talents and the gifts and the experiences that we have been given. So until next time, Karima, thank you. There will be a next time, and there will be soon because we have a lot to discuss and cover when it comes to the Make Me Good with Money book. So thank you for your time and your attention. And
Thank you for having me.
you're welcome. I love you. Well, I love you. Until next time, y'all. This is another episode of an author spotlight with Zoe Life CCP. Like, follow, join us, and share.